A very warm welcome to you all. Our guest tonight is Ankita Sooneeram. She is a laureate in the science field and also a Taekwondo practitioner for 10 years now. Tonight, during this episode of One on One, Ankita is going to share with us the positive impact that this martial art has in her life. Ankita, thank you so much for joining us in the studio of the NBC.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ankita, Taekwondo is a martial art that uses fist and feet in combat and training. You've been practicing this martial art for 10 years now. Share with us what is the purpose of Taekwondo.
Well, Taekwondo gives us a sense of self-confidence by equipping us with the necessary skills to be able to defend ourselves. It is a very complex and demanding sport, not only because it helps you master your physical body, but it also helps you gain mental focus and concentration. There's a sort of inner harmony that a person gains from practicing such a demanding sport, and I think that is very beneficial in today's day and age where life is very quick-paced.
Yes, and also teaches a lot of discipline, requires a lot of consistency to practice Taekwondo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are a laureate. That means that you've been practicing both. You've been focusing on your studies as well as giving importance to sports as well, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel that Taekwondo has helped you to perform better academically?
Yes, of course. Well, education is very important to me. It's a very important asset to have in one's life, and practicing a sport along with my education has definitely benefited me. Taekwondo has helped me become more calm and concentrated and focused in my daily life. It is a sport that requires a lot of discipline and control over your thoughts and emotions, and so that was a very good asset to have in my journey in my education. So yeah.
Share with us how was your schedule actually when you were going to school, focusing on your studies, at the same time practicing Taekwondo?
Well, it was very important to remain disciplined. You can't always focus on your motivation and your enthusiasm for things because these can be unreliable. But if you have a strong sense of discipline, it's going to help you manage your spare time, manage your social life along with your education, along with the sport. So it was very important to remain disciplined, and Taekwondo has definitely helped me in that aspect. With a lot of martial arts, it's important to remain focused and integral in the training.
Was it at some point tiring that you wanted to quit?
Of course, there was a lot of times where I wanted to quit, but as I've mentioned earlier, discipline and a strong mental focus was important in my journey to continue the sport, yes.
In that sense, can you say that Taekwondo is a way of life? The techniques that we learn in that martial art can be applied in our journey of life as well?
Yes, it is very much a way of life, as I mentioned earlier. It is demanding both physically and mentally, and with such a complexity, one cannot help but develop a sense of discipline and control and grace that ultimately translates to their daily lives outside of the sport.
And before we dive more into your journey of Taekwondo, I propose to our audience a short report on this martial art, their origins and the benefits associated to this practice. Let's have a look. Taekwondo is one of the most systematic and scientific Korean traditional martial arts that teaches more than physical fighting skills. It is a discipline that shows ways of enhancing our spirit and life through training our body and mind. Today, it has become a global sport that has gained an international reputation. Let's Let's take a closer look at the meaning of the word Taekwondo. It is composed of three parts as shown in the English spelling, though it is a one word in Korean. Tai means foot, leg or to step on, Kwon means fist or fight, and Do means the way or discipline. If we put these three parts together, we can see two important concepts behind Taekwondo. First, Taekwondo is the right way of using Tai and Kwon, that is fist and feet. Second, it is a way to control or calm down fights and keep the peace. This concept comes from the meaning of Taekwon, to put fist under control or to step on fist. Thus, Taekwondo means the right way of using all parts of the body to stop fights and help to build a better and more peaceful world. Taekwondo has been developing with the 5,000-year-long history of Korea, being called by several different names in the course. Taekwondo today is similar to the martial arts in other Oriental countries and shares some features with them because in the course of its evolution it has gained many different styles that existed in the martial arts of the countries surrounding Korea like Japan and China. But Taekwondo is very different from many such Oriental martial arts. First, physically it is very dynamic with active movements that include a mirage of foot skills, Second, the principal physical movements are in simpatico with that of the mind and life as a whole.
X. 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 X.
Third, it possesses dynamic poses from another perspective. Taekwondo can be characterized by unity, the unity of body, mind and life, and the unity of the pose, confrontation and cracking down. When you do Taekwondo, you should make your mind peaceful and synchronize your mind with your movements and extend this harmony to your life and society. This is how in Taekwondo the principle of physical movements, the principle of mind training and the principle of life become one and the same. This martial art pursues harmonious growth and improvements of life through its unique activities.
Ready? Là. Là, vous allez dans le milieu, là, dans le point de même, là. Correct? Pas bouger, pas. C'est un moment assez au tapis. Et là, on crase tout ce qui est là.
This is why one could say Taekwondo is a way of life. To ultimately enable ourselves to lead more valuable lives, we will do well by finding the guiding principles deeply hidden in Taekwondo.
Bien. Vous allez doucement là. 1, 2 et 3. Right?
Share with us, how did you get involved in this martial art? So
Well-
when did you actually initiate to that practice?
Well, I started at a very young age of 8. My parents were the ones who urged me to practice a sport, and eventually it stuck. I remember going online and watching videos of global competitions, being in awe of what these athletes could do. They performed so beautifully and gracefully, and it made me want to be able to perform those types of stunts by myself. Well, there's a youth center in my village, which is Elvesia, near the dispensary. My teacher, Mr. Balen Maude, was the one who really encouraged me to continue with the sport. He always boosted my self-confidence and told me that I would be great at it. So yeah, it really helped.
Why did you actually choose this martial art instead of any others?
Well, I was 8 when I started, so I didn't exactly choose it. I didn't really know what was happening at the time. But my advice to people who want to start a sport would be to really look at what you want to gain from the sport. Is it strength and endurance? Is it flexibility and grace? Is it relaxation and calmness of mind? So really look at what you want to gain from practicing the sport, but also do not really limit yourself and have fun and try everything out and see what you end up liking.
So besides Taekwondo, do you also practice other sports?
Well, I do swimming, but it's more leisure than competitive.
Ankita, over the course of its long and impressive history, Taekwondo has evolved as one of the most dynamic and beautiful sports around. There are also a lot of women practicing the sports now. In what ways can you say that this martial art equips a woman with the tool she needs to exit out from any dangerous situation?
Well, Taekwondo is principally a form of self-defense, and I think in the current times we live in, it is very important for a woman to know how to defend herself if she comes across those dangerous situations. Taekwondo teaches a woman or any athlete how to use their size to their advantage, for example, against a bigger opponent. It teaches us skills and strength and the cunning to be able to escape those different types of dangerous situations if we ever come across them.
But is it harmful to practice that so dangerous, the technique that we learn?
Of course, like with any sport, Taekwondo also has its risks, but it is something that you need to acknowledge before practicing the sport, and it can happen. But we always take measures so as to decrease the risk of those dire injuries.
I think in today's world, not only women, but everyone should learn some self-defense technique.
Yes.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yes, of course.
Ankita, how far do you agree then that women fighters or women practitioners of Taekwondo inspire a sort of femininity that recognize physical strength alongside some conventional norms of womanhood, beauty, rationality, and completeness?
Well, I believe that female athletes and Taekwondo practitioners are the epitome of women can do it all. I think athleticism and strength have, since the beginning of time, been traits associated with masculinity. But it is important to realize that womanhood and femininity are quite multifaceted. A person can be strong and tough and ruthless in combat and still be nurturing and caring. Those are all aspects of womanhood, and one can be one without diminishing other traits as well.
Exactly. And have you actually participated in a competition concerning Taekwondo?
Yes, along my journey as a Taekwondo athlete, I've participated in many competitions nationally and regionally, and I think competitions are an integral part of an athlete's development. It urges us to push past the fear and stress and puts us outside of our comfort zone, and in that sort of way it can unleash a potential within us to perform better.
It also allows you to assess yourself, right?
Yes.
If you're performing certain techniques well and if you're competent enough.
Yes, it does boost your self-confidence once you can push past this barrier that you have set for yourself. It does unlock a new potential within yourself to become a better version.
Ankita, most Taekwondo classes start with relaxation session and stretching exercises. Why is it important to be mentally and physically relaxed before starting the training?
Well, relaxation and stretching both kind of ease someone's mind and body into a calm state and being more focused. And relaxation helps us gain sort of a mental clarity during training, while stretching can help warm up the muscles to prevent any risks of injury.
Do you also practice some musculation in order to be able to practice Taekwondo in a better way?
Yes, I think strength training and conditioning as an athlete is very important. Going to the gym and practicing weights by yourself, doing some sort of high intensity training is extremely beneficial when it comes to your performance in any sort of sport.
But are there any more important techniques in Taekwondo? What is the principle of all?
Well, Taekwondo, unlike other martial arts, I would say, focuses a lot on flexibility and technique of the legs. High kicks and stunts are very well praised and regarded in competitions, and so we tend to focus a lot on flexibility in Pumse, which is an imaginary fight that we do and present during competitions, and for speed of kicks during those combats.
You've mentioned earlier about strength and conditioning. How then is Taekwondo a form of fitness that enables one to be flexible and improve our balance?
Well, as I've said before, Taekwondo is very much focused on the feet and being able to use those to do stunts that you would normally see. It's very important to be able to master your body and perform those type of stunts if you want to do well within the sport.
How many hours of training do you normally have for this martial art?
Well, I practice it twice a week for two or more hours each session. So along with that, there were solo sessions that I did to enhance my performance.
And is there any sort of nutrition that you need to plan while practicing this martial art?
Well, it is important to focus on nutrition, most importantly because it helps with muscle growth. That is important if you want to do well in the sport. So having a very balanced diet, focusing on protein and healthy carbohydrates and sort of fats is very important to keep your body at a very healthy state. Yes.
What are the aspects that you believe one should take into consideration before joining a Taekwondo class?
Well, it is important to know that with like any other martial arts, Taekwondo requires a lot of discipline and mental focus and dedication. But it will be very intense and hard, and so I think it is important to take that into consideration before starting such a demanding and intensive sport.
Do you feel that anyone can practice Taekwondo at any age?
Of course, I think I would like to take away from this stereotype that only one type of person is able to practice a sport, and if you don't look like that, you can't possibly practice a sport this sport. That is simply untrue and nonsensical. Taekwondo is open to anyone willing enough to put in the dedication to practice it.
We also got the opportunity to assist a session of training at your Taekwondo youth center. Share with us, how is that atmosphere for you all when you're practicing Taekwondo, because the steps are quite repetitive at times. Do you feel that you lose motivation and want to just quit?
Yeah, like I said, motivation and enthusiasm can be quite unreliable, so it is important to have a strong sense of discipline and focus when it comes to a sport like Taekwondo, because repetition of movements is essential to improving in this sport. And as for the dojo, it is a very healthy atmosphere there, and everyone kind of cooperates and encourages you to perform better.
You're now 19 years old and you've been practicing this martial art for 10 years, but do you believe that now it's time for this martial art to evolve?
Of course, any sport should be evolving throughout time. I think this evolution and adaptation of Taekwondo through the current times has been a key player in its relevance and popularity, constantly changing and improving training methods and rules and regulations and kind of techniques is important for sport to remain effective and diverse.
So, what are the changes that you would like to bring in this martial art form?
I feel like Taekwondo is a very already well established form of martial art and has proven its worth through time. But like I said, it is important to dissociate from this narrative that only one person can practice it. Anyone willing enough will be able to practice the sport if they have enough dedication.
Ankita, you're also a laureate. Share with us, how was your journey? Were you actually expecting to be a laureate in the science field?
Well, I feel like my journey really started when I was in my first year of secondary school and I attended an assembly where the laureates were giving their speech. And I remember thinking that I want to be there one day. And so it was through years of consistent and assiduous work that I was able to become a laureate. And it was in no small part from my parents, who really helped and encouraged me to focus on my studies as well as sports to become who I am today.
And you didn't stop training for Taekwondo, right?
No, of course not. I think practicing a sport along with your education is extremely beneficial because it sort of helps you manage your energy levels and remain dynamic throughout the day. It gives you mental clarity and focus and the discipline to actually stick to your plan of work.
So, do you feel that youngsters nowadays are more inclined to perform in martial art instead of any other sports?
Yes, well, I think youngsters are more encouraged nowadays because it is very much more accessible. I think throughout Mauritius there are a lot of centers who actually offer martial art classes, and I think not to put Taekwondo in a pedestal, but it is a very beneficial sport and it is going to be an asset in anyone's life due to its very demanding and complex nature.
We are actually drawing toward the end of this episode, but before that, Ankita, what are your objectives now? What are the career paths that you intend to choose, and do you still want to practice Taekwondo?
Yes, well, since I was a child, I have always wanted to pursue a career in medicine, and so now the next step is going to university and doing a bachelor in medicine, and hopefully one day become a neurosurgeon.
But do you want to continue?
Yes, of course, if I find a Taekwondo place where I can practice, of course I'm going to take this opportunity and continue the sport as it has been beneficial throughout my life.
Ankita, any advice you would like to share with our audience, especially youngsters and students who are watching you right now, to encourage them to pursue their academic studies properly, but also learn a sport, and some study tips maybe that you would like to give to all those competing?
Well, I think it's first and foremost important to be disciplined and have a set plan of work. Of course, it's important to have fun and to let loose across your course of study, but once this fun is over, you need to be able to know what you have to do and have a set plan of work. Of course, I would like to say to practice a sport, it will be greatly beneficial, even if it's just a leisure activity or if you're practicing it competitively.
It's important not to feel burnout then, right?
Yes, of
You
course.
need to feel mentally relaxed.
Yeah, it is important to be able to balance all those aspects of your life so as not to be burnt out and take time for yourself to recover from the daily stress of your lives.
Thank you so much, Ankita. It was such a delight to have you on the set tonight and learn more about your journey as a laureate, but also your passion for this martial art, Taekwondo. Dear viewers, we have now come to the end of this episode. Thank you for your time. We hope to catch you next week at the same time, same channel. Have a great evening.